Hey guys, welcome back to Dish It with Des. I am Desiree, and I am not alone. I have a guest with me today. Introduce yourself, guest.
Hi guys, I'm Steve.
It's just my husband.
I'm the guest.
The husband who said he was never going to be a guest is now making a second appearance on the podcast today.
Well, I mean, I've always been told that I have the perfect voice for radio, so I feel
Who
like
told you that?
I've heard this my whole life.
I want specific names on who has told you this. I've been with you almost 13 years and never once have I heard a single soul in the world say this to you.
All right, well, what I need from everybody that's listening is I need your opinion. So listen to the episode and let me know if I have the radio voice.
I'm just saying, after 13 years of being with you, I haven't heard a single soul say that. So,
well,
I don't know.
About to.
All right. Well, let's get down to business. Ready?
Yeah.
Okay. So Steve was on the other day, and we did Vanderpump Rules together. But today we're doing Jersey, Real Housewives of New Jersey. We are talking about the latest episode, Shots and Shade. So by the way, this is the 7th episode in the season already, and I've been saying this whole time that it hasn't been super exciting. I kind of didn't realize that we were on the 7th episode already because I'm like, wow, nothing has happened. So I just wanted your opinion. This is the only episode you've watched from the season so far, and how did you feel about it? Just overall, no specifics, but like.
I mean, so we're on episode 7.
Yeah.
Out of how many normally?
I don't know, like 20. I made that up. I don't even know how many there are.
So, I feel like you should be pretty well into the season already.
Yeah.
And there's just not much going on.
Yeah, overall boring, right?
It's
like...
It seems like they're reaching for things to
talk about.
Yeah,
and it's hard because I'm like, oh, I want to start this podcast. And I'm like, Vanderpump is giving me everything I need. And I'm like, Jersey's giving me nothing. So, we're just going to do a brief overview of just a couple things that happened. And it's just going to be our opinion because there's really not that much going on.
Yeah.
So let's just get right into it. We see the two new girls, Rachel and Danielle, shopping. They're shopping for the Gorga Luau that is going to happen at the Jersey Shore.
Down the shore.
So Danielle, apparently, I don't remember seeing this in the baseball game episode, but they showed a flashback, and not all scenes make the cut. But apparently she was talking to Joe Gorga a lot at the baseball game about their family issues, because if you haven't been caught up yet, obviously we know Teresa and Joe have always had a pretty tumultuous relationship, but we're learning that the new girl Danielle doesn't speak to her brother at all. And I discussed that in a previous episode about why.
Her brother or her sister?
Her brother.
Her brother.
Yeah. This was the situation where she has this bougie mama, whatever, Instagram page, and she's really over the top on there, and he was apparently making fun of her on Instagram in a very mean way. So She blocked him, and then he disinvited them to his wedding. And this is something that's coming up a lot in this episode, is this situation with Danielle and her brother. Everybody kind of feels like she's not giving the whole story. They're like, this cannot be that you guys aren't speaking over Instagram.
Right.
So, and I don't disagree.
Talk about that later.
Yeah,
later on
and I don't
episode.
disagree, because it does sound a little bit ridiculous, or if that is all that it is definitely blown out of proportion then. This has to be something stupid that can be fixed. That's why I think that they're thinking that there might be more to the story, because it's really? That's what's making you not talk?
Yeah, I mean, maybe it could be something that she really doesn't want to share.
Well,
so
you just joined the cast of a reality TV show, so you have to be transparent. And I think too,
well, maybe she is. She's just.
But this is the thing.
Out,
well, in this situation, maybe that is all that happened in that situation. But maybe there's been stuff in the past, and that was kind of the straw that broke the camel's back. Right. But again, that would mean that she's still not giving everything. You know what I mean?
There could have been something leading up to the final straw.
Think about with Teresa and Joe. There have been all these little situations over the years, and it's what's coming to fruition now with the wedding stuff and all that. It's kind of because it's been a buildup.
Right.
So I don't disagree with that narrative that there has to be more to that. So they were apparently talking a lot at the baseball game, and then of course Danielle is bringing up Marge again. So we saw before at what was it? It was Danielle's daughter's birthday. And it was Teresa and Jen like trying to school the two new girls, Danielle and Rachel, on Marge and saying that she's better like to have as a friend because she's not good to have as an enemy, and she has like stuff on everybody and blah blah blah. So
well, I mean, I feel like that's all true.
well, this is the thing
but
too.
Like they're doing it to like scare
I think
them,
they're doing
and also
it
to make Marge seem like she's like this terrible person.
Yeah, and I think it's you know, there's the two new girls, and I think they're thinking like nobody's really on their team, right? Like Jen and Teresa are
they're
kind
trying to play like Survivor here.
Yeah,
and, like,
I think that
form their alliances.
I think so. I think that they're just trying to kind of get her on their side, so that she doesn't go gallivanting off with Marge and Melissa, and that's all it is to me. And you know, so Danielle makes a statement that apparently Marge has an arsenal of ammo against women, and that information came from Teresa and Jen. And this is why I like Rachel. I'm still 7 episodes in, still unsure about how I feel about Danielle. I might not even make an opinion on her based on the first season, because I feel like it takes a couple seasons sometimes to really get to know somebody. Rachel, I'm still liking off the start, because even in this shopping episode or scene, she's still saying the same thing, that she is not going to let like other people's opinions and thought processes sway her. Like she's like, I want to form my own opinions, and she's sticking to that. And I appreciate that. I like that about her. Where Danielle, I think, is jumping on the bandwagon a bit. And we see that in this episode. It looks like she is.
Yeah.
So then we cut to Teresa and Jen at a jewelry store. I guess they're looking for jewelry for Teresa's wedding. This is where I always have a problem, because like I've stated, you're either a Teresa fan or a Melissa fan, and it's like you can't tell the other side nothing, right? And Teresa's narrative and the Teresa fans' narrative is always that, oh, Joe and Melissa can't keep Teresa out of their mouth. They wouldn't have a storyline if it wasn't Teresa, blah, 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 blah. I have yet to see Teresa in any scene not talking about Joe and Melissa.
Yeah, I don't really watch it that often, but Joe and Melissa aren't talking about Teresa.
Not in every scene, at least. And Teresa's
not
bringing
unless it's
up
brought up to them by somebody else,
or unless like something happened and they're but it's not. They talk about other things besides Teresa, and I have yet to see Teresa talk about anything else. So in this jewelry store, she's bringing up that they're going to the shore, and that Melissa and Joe didn't invite her and Louie to stay at their house, and that she's going to be staying at Jennifer Aiden's house. I wouldn't want her staying at my house either. I'm sorry. I don't think Joe Gorga should invite her to anything after she called him a little bitch boy at the reunion.
Yeah.
Like that. And they're not on good terms right now. So why would you want, like Joe and her are barely speaking. So why would he want her in his house and be walking on eggshells in your own home?
Yeah. Well, I mean,
go stay with your friends.
They've never had the best relationship.
Right.
And they flash back to that a couple times.
Yeah. And can we bring up,
this episode?
This is very important information. Vital. We're going to the shore. Come on, let's head down to the shore. I've said it before. I'm from Jersey. Now, this is like, we are from South Jersey. We are close to like Atlantic City and Ocean City. So southern, but not as south as like Cape May. And we do not call it the shore here. Like growing up, I'm personally speaking, so you tell me if you agree. We would say like, hey, you want to go to the beach today? Like, let's go to the beach. It's
always just the beach.
Yeah, we've always called it the beach. And then like all these shows came out about like the Jersey Shore. And it's like, shoobies call it that.
Right. The people that
aren't from
New Jersey.
Shoobie is a term that we use here for like people that aren't from our area that come here to like come and stay at the beach.
There's a full history on that.
I know.
You want me to tell it real
because
quick?
They didn't wear shoes, or they put their shoes in a box or something. What was it?
So they would come to the beach, or as they would say,
and wear shoes.
Well, they would wear shoes on the beach, but back like in the old times, they would pack their lunches and put it in shoe boxes. And they would bring shoe boxes onto the beach with their lunches. I thought
it was because like we wear like flip flops, like walking in the sand, and like when I see people in like sneakers and socks, like I die. I'm like, who wears socks to the beach? I thought that's where it came from. But just like I said before, we don't talk like this. We don't have tans like this.
What do you call it? And let me know where you're from.
Yeah,
let us. We
got to know where you're from.
Where the water meets the land.
I mean, I call it the beach.
It's the beach.
Like, let's go have a beach day. Let's go to the beach today. We don't call it the shore, and we're about 20 minutes away.
Yep.
And the shore is not a term here. So I just had to put that out there because I feel like sometimes Jersey gets a interesting reputation.
It's usually
based
more
off
of North Jersey, New York.
Well, all of the shows,
area.
They used to have Jerseylicious and Jersey Shore. So there's all these shows, but you have to keep in mind they all take place in North Jersey. There's a
lot more to New Jersey
actually
than just
messaged
up there.
Andy Cohen a couple years ago or a year or so ago. Not that he will ever read this message, begging him to please have Real Housewives of South Jersey, because it is just it's not the same.
It's definitely
and also not. I will be the main cast member. I will be holding the
100%.
I will be holding the little whatever they want to have for South Jersey in the middle.
Somebody send this to Andy.
Keep
Cohen.
telling Andy we need Real Housewives of South Jersey, and Desiree is the leading lady.
Yeah.
Oh, just putting that out there. So they're talking about the dynamics of who's staying where at the shore. So I would love to be. Well, Rachel is having people at her house. And then Jennifer Aydin's having people at her house, and the Gorgas are having people at their house. So it's split up with Rachel, Jen Fessler, and Dolores. Love it. I would be completely content being invited into that house. And then the other one is like my worst nightmare. Who was in Jennifer Aydin's house? It was
Teresa
and the new girl Danielle.
And Danielle, yeah.
Nope. And that house, listen, it's a perfectly fine house. I'm going to sound so mean because there are people out there that have a lot less. But Jennifer Aydin admits that she just bought this house like a week ago, and she loved the fact that it was like fully furnished and she could keep all the furniture. We're talking about like the richest bitch in New Jersey. This is a house she bought. It looks like the crusty Airbnb that you booked. The furniture is terrible, and she is so rich, right? Like her husband's a doctor, and like they have all this money. Like you couldn't buy and design your own shore house, but no, because you wanted to be like keeping up with the Joneses and get in as quick as you could. So you bought the ugliest thing you could buy.
Probably the only thing on the market.
And you said what about Bill? Like he looks like he's never been there.
When he walked in, it was like his first time there, and he had like this like stare on his face where he was just kind of like, "What the heck is this? Where am I?"
Yeah, Steve was like, "Has Bill seen this house before?" Because he looks, and I'm like, he probably hasn't. And he's probably like, "This is what I just dumped a bunch of money into. This is the house I bought." Bill's wishing he was at the Gorgas because. Let's talk about
this house.
All right, I would stay at Rachel's in a heartbeat, but reality is, if I was on this show, Melissa 100% would be my best friend. She is so like my kind of girl. I would love to have her as a girlfriend. The house is stunning, right? Could you imagine if the Gorgas invited us? Would you faint?
The pool.
Because I think I would. I feel like if the Gorgas were like, "Hey, Steve and Des, do you guys want to come to my shore house?" Like, I think I would literally.
I mean, Joe is my boy.
I know
like,
you love Joe Gorga. But
so could you imagine? That would be the coolest hangout ever.
Yeah, we need to
get him on the podcast. Is what we need.
Yeah, and like Melissa, honestly, if you have not watched Ultimate Girls Trip, the first one with Melissa on there and Teresa, and it had Kyle and Kenya.
I watched some of it with you.
Yes,
here and there.
Teresa was like so bland as she always is, and Melissa really she's such a good time. She was really vibing with Kyle, who she actually has a decent friendship with because they've done a lot of housewives things, and she was getting along really well with Kenya, and I actually saw a different side to Kenya on that show. Like, I felt like Melissa and Kyle were bringing out like this different side to her.
A little party, like having
so
fun.
Off topic, but I just Melissa in general is my vibe, and that house is. I could see why Teresa is such a hater.
Oh yeah,
like she is definitely envious of the life that they have. I think so. This luau that Melissa is hosting is gorgeous. She has cigar rolling or whatever. What else does she have going on there? So nice. The food looked good.
People making food, like food carts.
Yeah. It just was a vibe.
Bartender.
And I'm like, I have FOMO. Like, I feel like I should have been there.
Yeah. And it's right on like the back bays.
What are we going to have to do here?
With a pool.
To be friends with the Gorgas. That's the goal.
I don't know.
And not for clout either. Just because I genuinely think we would get along with them so well. Like, I feel like she's my best friend already.
I don't work out, but like if I was hanging out with Joe,
you don't
have
to. Some of the guys don't have the best bodies. But Melissa and Joe would get us into shape for sure, because I couldn't stand next to her and look like this. And then we see a little preview of what's to come. Joe Gorga has this wax kit ready. So
oh my God. He has that, and I thought they were putting laxatives in his drink too, but
was that the flashback? They had a flashback of the guys' night, and John Fuda, who's one of the new husbands. They had to like haze him into the group, they say, but he showed up with a bag of jokes, like diapers and all this stuff. Like, you're old, you're ugly, you need this. And so Gorga's thing is like, we got to get him back now. We're going to wax him. Like, we're going to catch him off guard and wax him. So that's...
they're getting him shit-faced drunk.
Yeah.
And they're going to wax his chest.
Yeah. So that's later to come. And then, of course, the convo that Rachel and Danielle had at the store comes up. And you see Rachel, just filling Marge in on what happened at the store and the conversation that went down about this arsenal of ammo. And you can see that Marge is annoyed that her name keeps coming up because Teresa, a few episodes back, like, invited Marge over and she wanted to squash the beef from like last season. And Marge is so confused because she's like, when I'm like squashing something, like, I'm good and I'm moving on. And with Teresa, that's never the case.
No,
she
Teresa's
will
always
say,
bringing it
right.
up. Or
she'll say, we're good, everything is good. And then she'll still use
she can
it.
find is she'll go talk about it.
So I feel like Marge is definitely annoyed, and you can tell that this is going to turn into something. It's like you're seeing like, okay, this is something that's going to happen, this conversation being brought up. So Marge just confronts Teresa about it, and all these warnings that she's giving to everybody. So Teresa, in turn, kind of starts coming at Rachel a little bit. And she's like, oh, are you trying to start something like between me and Marge? And Rachel's like, I'm not starting anything. I'm just saying exactly what you said. And I like her because she's holding her own.
She is. She's like, don't, not like someone who can't be trusted, but don't like just talk to somebody you don't know. You're just going out there saying rambling. Whatever you want.
Yeah.
And you don't know.
Like Teresa and Jen are saying this to Rachel and Danielle.
This person's a loyal, honest person, which it seems like she is.
Yeah. And so listen, and I'm like that.
And she's not picking sides.
So, like, I get it. I get where she's coming from. And it probably makes her feel uncomfortable knowing, like, okay, this person said something to me. It doesn't sit right. And I feel like I kind of should let the other person know that this is going on.
And share that info.
And I don't disagree with that. I don't think that's pot stirring. Because the other person shouldn't have said it in the first place.
Right. No, I mean, it could.
It's one thing.
People are going to look at it as pot stirring, but the way she's doing it, it's just that she probably doesn't feel comfortable holding that info.
And she's flat out. She said to their face, like in that moment, like, I'm going to make my own assumptions of people, and I'm going to get to know people myself. So you could see that Teresa's trying to deflect and put it on her, and then of course she says that she doesn't remember saying anything like that. Which, that's what she always says. That's classic Teresa. I don't remember. I'm deflecting. It's not my fault. It's you. You're trying to start stuff now. You're trying to make a problem between me and Marge. And we're good. And they're not. Because she's never good. Let's be real. So I do like Rachel. Again, I'm seeing a moment where, again, she's holding her own. Against Teresa, too, who everyone's always afraid to stand up to. And she's not. She's like, no, you said it and it was wrong.
Right.
So if you don't like that I told her, you shouldn't have said it. I love that. The Aidens are so embarrassing. I'm not going to give them much... airtime on this podcast ever, but the two of them are in every like group setting like this where they have like all the husbands and everything. The two of them always get so drunk, and it's so embarrassing. Honestly, it's hard to watch, and I think it's because they're just not happy. I think that they have to be around each other in this moment, and the only way to tolerate doing that is to not be sober.
Yeah.
Bill's like falling on the floor, and we've seen both of them like that a million times.
And the other women noticed it, and Marge even said something to the effect of, well, they always have to be like that in order to get along with each other.
Yeah. Yep.
So, like,
she said it about Bill, right? Like he has to deal with her, so that like that's how he has to deal with her, and it's mean, but I don't disagree with that. So then you see a group of the girls trying to explain to Teresa why Joe and Melissa are upset that Teresa has not invited Melissa's family to the wedding. Because she's always saying, like, I don't have any family anymore or whatever. And the reality is, like, she still does have Joe and Melissa has a mom and two sisters that could be, like, family to her. Like, she has welcomed Louie's sisters into her life as if they're her blood sisters. But she's trying to go back on, like, tweets or whatever.
From 10 years ago.
From, like, when Joe Gorga and Joe Giudice, like, fought at this, like, christening. Yeah. These were the flashbacks we're getting. And all I see, and you can see it in this episode with Joe and her mom, that it seems like Joe and Melissa have such a good and healthy relationship with Melissa's family. Yeah. So that's why it's hard.
Like, Joe's super, like, welcoming to her mom. Like, she was at that party.
And the mom and sisters treat Joe like he is, like, their own brother and son. Mm-hmm. And this is where I say you have to not always just look at what you're hearing or seeing on TV, but you have to take a step back and look at people's dynamics with other people in their life. So like Teresa isn't close to anybody. She doesn't have really any close friends, no family that talks to her. Their cousins that were on the show, Kathy and Rosie, don't talk to her. So, but then you see Joe, who has like a perfectly normal and healthy relationship with his in-laws. And that's where I'm like, it can't just be Joe and Melissa. It can't always be them. Because you see them having good and healthy relationships with other people, and you don't see Teresa doing that.
Yeah, at some point she's got to kind of look at herself and
it is a little bit messed up.
There's no one there.
Yeah,
and
like it's
not everybody else.
Everybody else isn't always crazy.
It's gonna be you.
It has to be you. And I don't disagree. Why wouldn't she invite them to her wedding? Why? Like, it's so weird. And all the girls are trying to explain to her is that her doing that is just going to drive a deeper wedge between Melissa, Joe, and Teresa.
Yeah,
and then
definitely. Louis comes around
and says that he like talked to Melissa's mom and like gave her a hug and apologized that like she wasn't invited and stuff. And Teresa like seems a little bit annoyed that he did that.
I mean, Teresa doesn't know exactly what he said, but his exact words were, "Don't be mad at me." Like something to that effect.
Oh, she's going to see it.
You know,
eventually.
So he's putting it all on Teresa.
He makes it seem like it wasn't just like an error.
No.
That they weren't invited, that this was something that was calculated and something that Teresa wanted.
Yeah, he let her know.
And why? Like, do you care for... I've been married. I've had a wedding day, right? Do you, like, really remember what the people at our wedding were doing? No. You're doing so much. You're doing pictures and cake and this dance and that dance. And it's like, who cares if there's a couple people over there that, like, you didn't really want? There were people at our wedding we had a very small wedding. I pretty much knew everyone that was there. But, like, your family had some people they wanted to invite that I didn't really know.
Yeah.
And did I say no? But it's like, okay, whatever. It's 5 people. And apparently they mean something to you guys. So I'm going to say, okay. Like, I don't understand what the big deal is. Like, they couldn't have just invited them.
Because
out of
Teresa
common
said
courtesy.
She's Italian and we hold grudges.
Well, how's that working out for her?
Wonderfully.
At this point in her life.
Wonderfully.
So enough of that bullshit. This wax situation's about to go down.
Oh, yeah. This is
So
great.
you see Joe getting the wax, and I was starting to get like a little bit sweaty about this because my background is cosmetology. I know how to properly wax. And as soon as he took that shirt off, I was like, oh, that chest hair is too long. Like, we need to clipper that down. That's going to hurt. And then they're ripping it off, and they're not holding the skin tight, and his titties are bouncing. And I'm like, oh, no, this doesn't look... He handled it like a champ, though.
He did. Well,
he handled it like he didn't care.
He was so drunk.
He didn't feel it, you don't think?
Oh, he felt it, but he's going to feel it the next day even more.
Worse?
Joe put the wax on his hand and smacked his chest and then ripped it off with his hand. He had clumps of
fur I'm more worried now about how Joe's getting that off his hand.
I have no idea, but he also had, I mean, there was wax all over
We've
his chest.
waxed your chest before. How does it feel?
It doesn't feel that bad, but we also clippered the hair
right,
short enough.
Could you imagine like doing it with that length?
Oh, that would be the worst.
Oh my God. It was hurting me. And I'm nervous now that he's going to have like that bleeding inside himself, like look, like a hickey look, because that's what happens. Like when you pull.
You don't remember when you were like trying to be funny when you were waxing me and you just waxed like an area that was just long hair and
it got stuck.
Slopped this wax on there, smacked the sheet on and tried to rip it off, and yeah, it got stuck.
Yeah.
And then it was definitely painful.
Yeah, it's because you're getting like that ripping sensation before
you
it
thought
even
it was
ripped.
Hilarious.
Well, I was doing it to mess with you.
Yeah.
But that was, we know what happens. Like I'm trained, so I knew what was gonna happen. And then it's like then you have to use wax off. Also, they're gonna be so sticky.
Oh yeah, it's a mess.
The poor guy, but he handled it well. He's hazed into the group. I like John Fuda, so he's good. And then we're gonna end this with the last scene. That Danielle can kind of hear like a conversation going on behind her. It's like Marge and Jackie, and I forget who else was Jen Fessler maybe. And they're talking about what's being said about Marge, and also that Danielle does not speak with her brother, and that they think there's more to that story. So this is coming back up about that. They think there's more to that story, and that she's going around saying like that apparently Marge is better to have as a friend and not an enemy, and she has this arsenal of ammo, blah blah blah. And you can see she's getting a little, what's the word?
Worked up.
Worked up, yeah. And so she steps away with her husband. And they go sit like to the side on some lounge chairs. And Melissa notices. that they're kind of isolated over there. So Melissa goes to check on her, and she tells her what the girls are saying, that they feel like that Danielle isn't telling the whole story. And Danielle is mainly worried that like people are speaking on her like about her character. I don't know if you guys can hear this, but our dog, like when he's asleep, makes the weirdest noises.
I hope you can't hear it, but we just gotta.
It's so distracting. It's like I'm having trouble focusing because of Rusty. So Danielle's worried about her character now, and that people are speaking on her character and stuff. But don't you kind of feel like she's doing the same thing with Marge? Like she's worried about her character, but she's going out like without even really knowing Marge and saying like to watch out for her, and she's better to have as a friend, and she hasn't.
Yeah.
You know.
I mean,
she's kind of like talking about Marge's character.
Doing the same thing.
Yeah.
But
so
I mean, she's more upset about that they're talking about her brother and like
her family
and like this. She said something about like. This is her truth, so like whatever she says is the truth, and
Melissa says in that case, she goes, even in our situation, there's my side, there's our side, there's Teresa's side, and the truth.
Yeah. So somewhere there's the truth.
It's always, what do they call it? The three truths.
Yeah.
Person one, person two, and then the real. And
everybody's got their little twist on the story.
And I'm wondering if eventually like her brother's gonna come out and like issue a statement, because she has definitely been talking about him a lot on this platform, and I have a hard time thinking that like he's never going to want to speak his side of the story. Yeah. I don't know. If it were me, I would want to. I'd be like, listen, it's nice that you're on a show, but let's talk about what really went down. Let's talk about the husband.
Let's call him and see if we can get him to talk about it.
Oh, my gosh. It's really stir the pot.
Yeah.
So then, of course, after this, Danielle wants to leave. She doesn't want to be there anymore. She said she can feel herself getting heated. This is why I'm saying, like, I don't have a good read on her yet. There's moments like her kind of stirring the pot with this Marge thing. I don't like that. But I do like the fact that instead of like going over there and blowing up on everybody, she wants to remove herself from the situation.
Yeah, that was smart.
Yeah, but also like, because she's staying at Jennifer Aydin's house. So like, of course, now Jennifer and Teresa are going to go too. Like they're all going. Right. They're all leaving. And she's pretty heated in the car. Like she's kind of flipping.
She's flipping out.
Out in the car. You see her like.
You could really hear the Staten Island come out of her.
Yeah.
And she's talking about like. They picked the wrong one.
And her and Jackie definitely don't like each other. There's a bit of... So Jackie this season got... I don't know. I can't remember. I feel like I've heard mixed stories about what happened. Like she either got demoted or wanted to take a step back into a friend role. But I can't remember if it was her choice or the network's choice. I'm feeling like Jackie maybe has a little bit of jealousy because she feels like Danielle kind of took her spot. But why she's not feeling that with Rachel Fuda, I'm not sure. But she said something a few episodes back, because you haven't been watching. So she walked into that, like Jackie was definitely like looking Danielle up and down in this one situation. And then she said to Melissa that her outfit was horrible and she looked like she pulled her shorts out of the laundry bin. And Melissa told Danielle, and Melissa told Jackie that she told Danielle, and Jackie didn't even care that Melissa told her. But Danielle was saying that she feels like she's getting like a weird energy from Jackie. So Melissa told her, like, well, she did kind of say that she didn't like your outfit. Jackie has, like, I don't dislike Jackie. Like, when she was on the show, I was pretty neutral about her. There was times I liked her, times I didn't really care for her. Her outfit choices weren't always great, though. So why she's judging another woman's outfit choice? And she has a lot of body image issues. She suffers from, like, eating disorders and stuff. So it was interesting to me to hear her comment on another woman's appearance.
Yeah.
That was very interesting to me. Even if it was just about she didn't like the outfit, I would just think that as a woman who has body image issues herself, that she would be less likely to make a comment like that. But she can be a little bit judgy. And she's definitely judging Danielle. So I think that's why Danielle got so heated, because I think she saw Jackie in the mix and that kind of set her off probably. If Jackie wasn't in the mix, maybe she wouldn't have cared as much. But I think she constantly feels like, what's up with this chick?
I feel like she's definitely
and they're both from Staten Island. So there's like this rivalry.
Oh, yeah.
I feel. We're going to end this episode right here before we F it up even more, because we can't even get through a sentence at this point. But again, I feel like it's a little slow, a slower season, but we do know that there is like something coming.
Right. Well,
with this
party
wedding.
Isn't over either. Like this party continues, and you can see in some of the previews that it's going to get heated.
Oh yeah, we saw actually Joe and Louie getting into it a little bit, which has happened several times already. And Joe says something like, "Well, I'm just going to start treating you how Teresa treats my wife." and like walks away. And
they're going to be a little heated.
And we know just from blogs and things like that this wedding thing has caused a lot of drama. We know Joe and Melissa don't go to the wedding. So we do know that there's more juicy stuff coming. It is just like a long mountain to climb, a high mountain to get there.
It's all good. We'll talk about it when it gets here.
Yep.
But in the meantime,
look forward to Vanderpump Rules because that's just getting juicier and juicier.
It's getting good.
And we are never going to stop talking about it, even for years to come.
Oh, yeah.
Scandival is permanently embedded in all of our brains at this point. So thank you for listening. Don't forget to subscribe. We are on, what are we on, Steve? Spotify?
We're on Spotify. We're on Amazon Music, Apple Podcasts, YouTube.
That's it, right? So whatever platform works for you, that is the platform you can listen to. And also, don't forget to follow me on Instagram and Facebook at The Almost Daily Des. That way, if you want to join in the comments and have a little combo going back and forth, I would love to have you guys a part of my little podcast community. Thanks for listening. Bye.
Bye.